my first question then is the Columbia Environmental Research Center staff here has an extensive range of scientific and technological expertise. What is your specific area of expertise, and what originally got you interested in that specific field?
Well, I started my career doing research in the Great Lakes and was very interested in the way contaminants or chemicals in the environment were affecting fish. Started my career there in the 70s when there were a lot of chemical contamination issues in the Great Lakes, and we were having some difficulties with a number of species in the lakes because of contamination from chemicals such as PCBs, the DDT compounds, and things like that. We were seeing some problems with bald eagles. We were seeing problems with gulls, lake trout. A number of species were having problems. So that got me interested in that kind of science when I had just started my career in the Fish and Wildlife Service.
What do you feel has been the largest obstacle that you have faced in your career thus far, and how did you overcome that?
I think there's always been a continued challenge to get enough resources to study environmental problems. And it's always been that the environment has never been able to compete with things like human health, energy, even the space program. You know, nobody has ever come out and said we're going to be the first country to be, like we did with the moon, be the first country to go up to the moon. We're going to be the first country to really maximize our environmental potential here. You know, using our environment for our benefit while keeping it clean and of value to future generations. We've just never had that kind of ethic in this country. And so I think you see that the kind of resources this country devotes to environmental research and environmental management overall is pretty small in comparison to some of the other things that we do. Now, certainly some people would think human health is much more important than environmental health. But when you think about it, they're directly related. I mean, your health is a product of your environment. What's in your body is a product of what you eat, what you breathe, what you drink. And all of those are right directly from the environment.
Now, how do you draw the line between, I guess, how do you determine what research projects you take on, and how do you prioritize which ones are more important when it comes to environmental issues, crossing over to health issues, and that sort of a thing?
Well, we are a laboratory that gets a certain amount of money that pays salaries for a lot of our people. But a lot of our research is done by people coming to us and actually paying to do the research for them. For example, we do a lot of work on the pallid sturgeon in the Missouri River. Well, all of that work is actually paid for by the Corps of Engineers that manages the Missouri River.
Okay.
And they have responsibilities to restore this species because of the Endangered Species Act. So they give us resources to work on the pallid sturgeon for the purposes of understanding its life history, so that they can manage the river and bring the species back.
Do you find any difficulties in trying to translate the research that you produce and that you pursue into layman's terms for the public, so that you can get people to care about the environment and encourage them to protect the environment, and just in general informing them? Or is that not anything that you deal with here? It's strictly the research?
No, it is an issue. I think it's always hard for individual scientists to be able to break down what they're accomplishing scientifically down to layman's terms, or even to the understanding level of someone that hasn't taken graduate courses in environmental chemistry. But we do have a dedicated outreach person here, one staff member whose job is exactly to do that, take our research and put it into the kinds of information products that the public will understand. And we participate at various kind of activities. For example, there's a Missouri River cleanup organization that has scheduled cleanups on the Missouri River. Well, we'll go there and provide some knowledge of our science, and again try to break it down into their terms. So it is a very important part of our work to make the public understand. Obviously, when we're working broadly over the whole United States, we're not going to reach all the public that we have the potential to impact. But we hope that our agency, other parts of our agency, does that as well.
You've actually won a number of other awards in addition to that, but all were prior to your job here as the center director. Why did you choose to take this position?
Well, I've been in the organization in the Department of Interior research branch, even though we've called ourselves different names over the years, for a long time, and I've had the opportunity to do the job in different arenas. I was a research scientist in the Great Lakes for about 18 years. Then I went to headquarters to see how big government works, try to understand how the executive branch works, how it interacts with congressionals. And that was a great experience. But then, to me, I just said, that kind of experience of knowing how it works in Washington and having the hands-on experience that a research scientist has or needs, take that experience, and that's what it takes to be an effective person at managing a research facility.
Okay.
Because I understand what the people that work for me are going through, and I understand the people in Washington who are asking me questions what they really need.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like the nexus to the next most important job in my mind. Plus, when I was a research scientist, there were center directors like me who were my boss, and I used to be pretty critical of them. And I'd say, gosh, if I ever get a job like that, I won't be like that. But when you realize all the things that you have to consider when you're managing, $15 million and 130 people,
Yeah.
and a number of personalities, and the pressures of working for, the government, it's a big challenge. But I'm really thankful I took the job because it's been a great experience for me.
Now, do you see yourself continuing to stay here or moving on to yet another position in the future?
Well, hopefully my age doesn't show that much, but I am pretty close to retiring, and I will probably retire from the government this year.
Really?
Yeah, and I would like to do something outside government when I get done, but my family will most likely move from Columbia, and I'd like to maybe get involved with either an environmental, non-governmental organization, or even just do some writing of some sort. I'm not quite sure, but I'm ready to do something different.